and I turned to him and went in for a hug. He thought I was going in for a kiss. I did not want to kiss this man.
Hi guys, it's Eric.
And Adam.
And today we are finally getting to a much requested video of past bad dates that we have had.
I think, was it the how we met or our first time video? One of those we talked about.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah, we talked about maybe doing a video on bad dates, story time type of thing. And a lot of you said that you would be interested in hearing about our bad dates. So, you know, promptly, here we are 2 years later.
Per usual.
So late. Yeah.
So this first one is while I was living in New York, and it was off of a dating website. I don't remember if it was Match.com or OkCupid, but we had agreed to meet up at a bar, and it was probably like 9 o'clock, which is early for New York, let me tell you. So we met near a place that he had suggested that was close to actually where I was living at the time. And I get there, and he didn't arrive yet. So I'm sitting there and I'm waiting, and he was about 15 minutes late. He comes in and he sits down, and he was like, "Oh, hey, hi, you know, nice to meet you in person." And I was like, "Great." He's like, "Oh, do you want a drink?" And I was like, "Sure." So his first impression that he was a nice guy, but then he went up, he was like, "Oh, I'll get it." So we went up to the bar, and I could see that he was being very friendly with the bartender and like having like a full conversation, which I thought was a little bit strange, but he had made the suggestion. So I was like, oh, maybe he knows the bartender and it's a friend. So maybe that's the case. So he comes back with the drinks and he sets it down and we start talking. And then all of a sudden the waiter comes, a waiter, like a cocktail waitress comes by and says, "Oh, hey, blah, blah, blah," and calls him by his name. And I'm like, oh, maybe they do know him here. "Do you want another drink?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll take another one." And I was like, "No, I'm okay." And I had drank like this much of my drink. And I was drinking vodka soda. He was drinking vodka Red Bull. He gets a second one, downs the second one, proceeds to get a third while I'm not even halfway through my first of vodka Red Bulls. 3 vodka Red Bulls in the matter, this is probably like 45 minutes. It was ridiculous. And I was like, okay, well, I'm definitely not gonna finish this, and I'm definitely gonna call it quits and get out of here as soon as I can. About an hour had passed, and I was like, hey, great meeting you. You know, I have to go, I have to wake up early, and but it was so nice meeting you. He was like, oh, I thought we were like gonna go out afterwards and go dancing, and I was like, no, I'm okay. And he's like, oh, really? And by this time, he's like talking like 100 miles a minute, and like, clearly the vodka Red Bull portion of it had set in. And so he walks me out, and when we get outside and I'm like, okay, it's nice meeting you, he comes in and he totally tries to make out with me. Like full on tried to kiss me, and I had to do the whole like turn away like, no, I don't think this is gonna happen. So yeah.
Was it like the interactions between you two or the fact that he was just downing alcoholic
It was the
beverages?
fact that he was downing alcoholic beverages while I wasn't even finished with my first. He definitely had some issues with the drinking. And I'm glad I saw that on the first date and not later.
So one of my bad date stories is I was seeing this individual for a few weeks, or maybe a couple weeks. I don't know. We were seeing each other, whatever. And I don't know if he ever came over to my place, but I went over to his place quite a lot. And the most we ever did was make out because I'm a classy person. And so I just remember the few times that I went over to his place to hang out, as adults do. You know, we would casually just start making out on the couch. But like every time I was over at his place and we would make out on the couch, he would have the TV on, and it was like his couch was here and then the TV was here. I would be facing this way. He would like facing this way and he would be facing this way. and we would be making out, and he would be watching the TV every time we made out, like through, like past me. He would be like looking around
What
me.
were you guys watching? Was it good?
The heck if I know. It wasn't a good show, or I would have been watching too. So I like, and it was at that point I was like, oh, okay. As pleasant as this is, you're cold. Not like temperature wise, like he's a cold-hearted person. Because
Right.
I'm like, you're not like connecting with me, and I'm literally right in front of you. So it was done with after that. I was like, why did you go date your TV, bro?
So my second bad date was actually a second date. So it wasn't the first date, it was the second date. And we actually had a really nice first date. We went to the movies, we had great conversation, we had dinner, and it was left at that. And we were like, great, we're seeing each other again, perfect. And we had set up a second date to which we were going to go to his place and then go to Malibu for the day and just like hang out in Malibu and like have a day full of, hanging out.
I think I know the story.
Yeah.
I think I do.
So I get there and I'm like, hey, all right, so are you ready? And I walk into his apartment, my first time in his apartment. He's like, yeah. And then I noticed like he's not really dressed, really. Like, it was the second date. I made sure I looked cute, like had like fresh clothes on. He looked like he had just like woken up and like crawled out of bed. And I was like, oh, you're ready? He's like, yeah. He was like, so I was thinking, maybe we could just like hang out here in my apartment and just like chill, or we could go to Malibu if you want. And I was like, well, I was kind of looking forward to like having a day at the beach, and I think it would be really romantic to go out and take a walk, stroll along the shore. And he was like, yeah, okay. He was like, but he's like, can we at least finish watching this movie? And I was like, sure, what movie is it? Thinking, oh my God, okay. So if I had seen it before, of course, I'll finish watching the movie. But it was a movie that I had never seen before. It was like a time travel movie that I think I had mentioned it to you before. I think Keanu Reeves was in it.
Oh.
And like he's
It's
like
not the
a
one
time
with
traveler.
Samantha Mumba, is it?
I can't remember. I don't know. But it was literally the last like 15 minutes of the movie. And I was like, sure. So we sat down, had no context of the movie, no idea what was going on. He didn't explain it to me at all. So I was sitting there the last 15 minutes of the movie, just sitting there watching basically him watch the movie. And I was like, this is great. This is a lot of fun. He was like, all right, so you ready? And I was like, yeah, let's go.
Been ready.
You gonna wear that? I didn't say that, but he didn't change. And so we get in the car and we drive, and Malibu is probably a good half an hour, 40 minutes away from his apartment. So we get to Malibu and we go this weird route, and we end up walking like along this private beach. And I take out my camera, my phone, to like take some pictures. And he was like, "What?" He's like, "Don't take any pictures of me." And I was like, I wasn't planning on it. I think this view is gorgeous, and we're in Malibu, and I think it's beautiful, but I won't take any pictures of you, I promise. I think that was red flag number 2.
Was he like a celebrity and was like in the closet?
No.
Oh. So why did he not want his picture taken?
He doesn't like to take his picture. So we are walking, and the idea was that we were going to go to Malibu, and then we were going to have lunch in Malibu, and then come back. And he was like, you know what? I'm just not feeling good. And I was like, oh, really? Me either. And he was like, do you mind if we just head back? And I was like, no, not at all. Because by this time, I was done. I was like, this is not going to work out. I don't know what happened between date 1 and date 2, but seriously, this guy has got something going on that he needs to solve before he can be in any kind of relationship, because he seemed completely detached now. And so we get back in the car and we're driving back, and I'm like, so are we like ending this date when we get back, or are we gonna have lunch somewhere else? It was like, I feel like I'm I'm just not feeling good. I was like, okay. So we get back to his apartment. I go straight to my car and he leaves. And it was just the weirdest, strangest thing. And I get home and I'm like, you know what? Screw this. And I text him. I said, you know what? If you didn't want to continue the date, or if you didn't want to see me or whatever, you should have just said so. Because instead of making up lies so you're not feeling well, like, just put it out there thinking that that was the reason why. And he completely texted back and said, you know what? You're right. Sorry, but I just am not in a place right now where I feel like I could date. I was like, then you shouldn't be dating. Because I met him off of a dating website as well.
That would have been helpful to know before the second date.
Yeah.
So my second bad date story is, funnily enough, the second date with someone. And the first date was cute. We went to like Pinkberry, had some Pinkberry, and talked. And
what you do when you go to Pinkberry.
It was like an hour, 2 hours. It was like 8 or 9 at night. It was cute. We were talking about like, I don't know, Romania or something, because I think that's where he was from, and like TV in Romania. I don't even know, whatever. And so the second date, we went to this like floral garden park thing in Beverly Hills. That was cute. Then we went to some like panini place in Beverly Hills for lunch. That was cute. And then after that, of course, I suggested we go bowling. I always suggested to go bowling on dates because if the date was horrible, I wanted to enjoy myself. I love bowling, so perfect. During bowling, he did some things that I didn't find attractive. Now, being me, being very animated, flamboyant, just cray-cray, over the top, however you want to say it, I am attracted to not that. And so I remember there was one time he got like a strike or a spare or something, and he did this dance, and that was like the moment where I was like, I never want to see you again. Yeah, it was like, I was like,
that bad?
Yeah. Can
you demonstrate this dance for us?
Oh my god, it was years ago, but it had to have been something like something just very,
okay, like, you don't dance like that.
Right, well, yeah, but it was like very over the top and flamboyant, and I am so not attracted to that. And so, like, it was that moment, and he was nice, but I was like, no, I have to get out of here, like, this is not happening. And so after we went bowling, we went back to, I think I had parked my car in his parking garage in his apartment complex, and we had taken his car to bowling. And so we went back to his apartment complex so I could get my car. And we were sitting in his car, I was in the passenger seat, he was in the driver's seat, and we were saying goodbye and all this stuff, and I turned to him and went in for a hug. He thought I was going in for a kiss. I did not want to kiss this man. And so we kissed, and I was like, okay, bye. Like, if you've seen videos of ours before, you'll be well aware that I hate confrontation. And so after this date, I didn't speak to the man. I didn't text, call, anything. I was just like, I don't exist. We don't exist. There's nothing. No, I am not here. And so he had texted me, and he was like, oh, like, if you don't want to, like, I haven't heard from you. If you don't want to get together anymore, just let me know. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I see us, like, being friends and hanging out, but I don't want to, like,
card.
And he was like, no, I don't want that. So I was like, okay. Too bad. So, yeah, but it was funny, like, in an instant, I was like, I do not want to be with you, I never want to see you again, type thing. I'm attracted to what I'm attracted to. A manly man.
No taken, I will never dance like that.
We are married, you can dance like that. You got way past that.
My third story is not a bad date story, but more of a bad breakup story. Okay, so first of all, I've been dating this guy for 6 months, I think it was. And in that time, and especially in the very beginning, he made jokes a lot about how much of an a-hole he was. He was like, Just to warn you, I'm an a-hole. And I was like, you're so funny. You're not. Because he hadn't been one to me. And so about month 3, I started noticing little tendencies of the A. And I was like, maybe he was right. Maybe I should have listened to him. And so it continued, and it was really strange because the last 3 months that we were dating, he really didn't show any affection at all to me. Kissing wasn't very, he didn't really want to do that. It was very strange. He was an actor and he was very much into himself. And he always made an excuse oh, I just need to practice these lines or go over this, or I have an audition coming up, or all of that. And so
you can practice lines together with your tongues.
I was like, yeah, wait, no. So around months 5 or 6, it's hard to say that we were dating for 6 months because it didn't seem like that long, because it seemed much shorter, because it quite frankly ended a 2-month, 3-month. But I was still in it. We had still seen each other every now and then. And about month 6, I received a text message to where he broke up with me.
Ooh.
In a text message. 6 months of dating and a breakup in a text message. I felt like Carrie getting broken up with on a Post-it note. So that was pretty bad. And he was right. He was an a-hole.
Well, I'm sure he didn't have time to call because he had to run over all those lines.
So many lines. So many parts.
Oh, is he in a lot of movies now?
No.
No.
He was on a TV show that got canceled, though.
And that's probably saying something.
And as soon as that text message happened, and I told all of my close friends, hey, believe it or not, this guy just broke up with me over text message, and they're like, oh yeah, I never liked him anyway. He was an a-hole. Thanks, close friends.
Wait, why does that always happen?
I don't know.
In high school, I dated a girl, and none of my friends liked her.
And they never told you that they
didn't until
like
after we broke up.
Yeah,
but their excuse was oh, I tried to tell you. But I'm I don't recall you ever being oh, she's not good for you. She's rude. She's terrible, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, they didn't even try to tell me. They were just oh, I didn't want to upset you. I'm like how I'm upset right now that you didn't tell me.
If you're watching and if your friend is dating someone bad, you tell them. Be a good friend.
Seriously. And listen to those red flags.
Mm-hmm.
The guy tells you he's an a-hole. He's an a-hole.
Did I ever say anything like that?
No.
Also, why would you say that? You're not selling yourself very well. If you're hey, here's my bad qualities. Do you still want to be with me? So my last story is also a breakup story. And because I guess I never really did a lot of dating, so I don't have a ton of dating stories. But my last story is I was dating a individual for about a month, and I always had the whole thing oh, if I don't see this going anywhere past boyfriends or something within a month, then it's done. I'll end it at a month because I'm why waste time with this person? I need to put my energy and time into somebody else that I actually see a future with. I went over to his apartment or something, and this was after about a month together, and I was yeah, no, this isn't happening. So it's been lovely, but it's going to be even lovelier when we're not together. Thanks, bye. I didn't say it like that. No. I mean, this was years ago. I don't remember what I said, but I was oh yeah, I don't see this working out type of thing. I was not that sassy. That was good though. I came with that on the spot, but after I said all these things, he proceeded to cry for an hour in front of me. I don't really know how to react to someone just bawling in front of me for an hour, so I was do you need a towel? Like,
a towel? Not even a tissue. It's like, yes, a bath towel, preferably.
I didn't know it, but I like just sat there and I tried to be, you know, comforting, I suppose. I honestly don't remember because it was years ago. Funnily enough, that same person saw Eric and I on a date a few months ago or something. Or not a few months ago, oh my god. Like a few months after. No, wait. Pause, rewind. It was like a year later. Yeah, it was definitely like a year later. Or 9 months, something like that.
God.
I don't know. The time...
Some time frame later.
Yeah, whatever. And we were at Yogurtland, and he had come in with a friend, and Eric and I had been dating for weeks or a month.
It was like a month.
Okay,
yeah.
we had been
months,
dating
same thing.
for like a few weeks, a month at this point. And this guy that was bawling in his apartment when I was like, yeah, this is not happening with us. And so the day after he saw us in Yogurtland, he had proceeded to text me, and he said something along the lines of like, I was way out of your league, I think. Something like that. And just saying like, oh, Eric wasn't good enough for me or something.
We didn't
ridiculous.
even talk.
Yeah, they didn't even talk. But like my first thought was like, 1, how dare you, because you do not know Eric. 2, you do not know how he makes me feel. 3, you will never be the man that Eric is because I see a future with him and I never saw a future with you. So if you can just step back and not, he didn't even know you. I was like, I never want to talk to you again. Like, I'm deleting your number out of my phone.
And you didn't?
I didn't, no, because he doesn't deserve anything from me if he was rude about you without even knowing you. It's ridiculous. Nah. Anyways, here we are in a better place. I mean, we just talked about all the bad dates and now we're married with children.
Yeah. I think that without the bad dates, we would never have found each other, because through those bad dates, we realized what we wanted and what we were missing. I just remember my whole 20s thinking, oh my gosh, I'm never going to meet the man that I love and meet the man that I marry. I chalked it up to just like, I'm always going to be forever single. But what I didn't realize was that it's a process and that I'm actually learning things about myself so that I can be prepared for the person that I'm supposed to meet.
It's so funny now thinking about it, because like through all the bad dates and dating people, I always like put it on me being the one that was like, oh, like I'm going to be single because I'm the undateable one.
Yeah,
hold on.
I did that too.
If I look back, I'm like, wait, I was a catch the whole time. These TWATS are like the ones that are undateable, you know?
And you look at those bad dates and you're like, oh. Yeah. That's why I'm not finding anyone, because I keep going on these crappy dates.
Yeah. I agree. I'm glad that the bad dates happened because it led us to each other.
Yeah. So this just goes to show that if you are still looking or waiting or whatever, or wanting or feel bad because you haven't found the person, then it's okay to wait. Don't settle.
Don't settle.
Don't settle at all, because what's the point of being with someone that you don't like forever? Then it's going to be miserable.
Yeah, you don't want to have to put your time and energy into somebody you're only like 50, 60, 70% about.
Yeah.
You want to have...
It's not fun.
You want to love wholeheartedly, not half-heartedly.
Yeah. Take that extra energy and put it back on yourself, is what I say.
Also, too, I didn't find the one until I was 25. Eric didn't find the one until he was 34. And so, like, if we had given up before those ages, then we wouldn't be here.
Or settled.
Ugh, for the bad date people. Ugh.
Yeah, no thank you.
Ugh.
So happy to finally make this video. Finally. It only took us years. But if you guys like what you watch, remember to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and we'll see you guys soon.
3.
Yay! You made it to the end of the video! Congratulations! Yay! If you want to see one of our most recent videos, why don't you click here? And if you want to see one of our throwback videos, click here. You're welcome.